Hello and welcome back to our study of Peninei Halacha, the teachings of Rabbi Eliezer Melamed, Shlita. Good to be back. Thank you everyone for joining us. Please continue davening for Chayalei Tzva Gan Yisrael, for Shlem L'chol Petzuei Yisrael, and a safe return of our hostages. We dedicate our learning each and every day to Nishmat, Sarah, Daniel, Shimon Ben Harav, Deron, V'Shelei Shem Yikum Damo. And please look at the podcast notes and cast your vote in the World Zionist Congress elections. Slate number 5, OIC-MIZRACHI, extremely important. So please take 5 minutes of your time, $5 from your savings or checking, whatever is your want, and let your voice be heard. So the next chapter, Chazanos L'Shem Shemayim. HaChazanim tzrichim l'chaveh mishirasim l'chavot Shemayim. When the Chazanim daven, they have to make sure that when they sing, that it's really for the right reasons, and it's to honor Shemayim. Avol mehem arichim bechazanos v'chol chavanasam lizgaos b'kolam hayafeh. But if they, for lack of a better translation, if they would want to schlep out the davening just so they could show off their voice, and in my experience, when people do that, it's not even that good, but that's my experience. If that happens, Alei Makasav Omer, the pasuk in Yirmiyah says, Nasna alai b'kala al kain sinei siha, that Hashem despises this. Shem osim hatfila hakadusha kardom lehiskaosbo, because they're using the sacred prayers as a means to lift themselves up in a haughty fashion by acting in a supercilious manner. It uses like it's a shovel to pick myself up. And even if someone who is, of course, has the proper intention when davening for the Amud, and his intentions are for the sake of heaven, he still shouldn't schlep it out too much. Because there's another element at work, because you don't want to become a burden to the congregation. You cannot, as a leader of davening, repeat words in brachos or in kaddish, because Chazal instituted the tefillas to be a certain way, and you're not allowed to change that. And if you repeat words, then it could change the meaning of the blessing, and that means that the extra words that you said are a hefsek, it's an interruption. And then the chazan then has to repeat the bracha from the beginning. If, however, there are no changes in the meaning, then the chazan does not have to go and repeat the bracha because it's not considered a hefsek with something else. Very, very involved, complicated issue. When can you repeat words? When can you not? The rule of thumb is that we don't do it in the repetition of Shemona Esrei, in Kedusha and Kaddish, or when reciting a pasuk from Tanakh, because then you're actually creating a pasuk that doesn't exist if you repeat words. However, there might be other times when it's allowed, but that's a little bit beyond our scope, and it has been probably an argument that's taken place between rabbis and chazanim and shlichat tzibur for generations, and one that will continue for many, many more generations. A chazan should not be appointed as the permanent chazan or to lead the services on the high holidays, what we call them, Yamim Naror, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, if he is singing a song which perhaps the source of that song is something that is not really bakavadik. So this is another question. Can you use secular tunes in Kedusha? Really, really interesting question. So, or what about secular Israeli tunes? So perhaps a most popular one is the Erev Shel Shoshanim. See, we're getting everything. We're getting learning, we're getting Torah, we're getting singing, entertainment. Just kick back and enjoy. But there is a bit controversy with that because some say it's an Israeli love song, and maybe that's not appropriate for Kedusha. Again, beyond the scope, but it's part of this question. But something that's downright detestable, and it's a known song that's certainly not appropriate, then one shouldn't sing that, and one who does should not be appointed as the chazan. So there is again a machlokes amongst the poskim if you could use songs that are perhaps not Jewish and they are maybe even detestable, can use them for tefillas or for some of the piyutim. Maisa kasher milos hasher mechor einu mekaros lakahal efshel lahakel. If it's a nice niggin, but people don't realize that it's really something that's detestable or deplorable from a secular source or a non-halachic source. So then maybe you could be lenient. And you can make some slight changes to make it fit nicely with the davening. But if everybody knows, it's hard for me to think of an example. Anybody has an example, please write to me and let me know an example of a song that would be downright detestable. Perhaps anything by Pink Floyd. Yamach Shemam. You certainly couldn't use it in davening. Because when they hear that tune, they're going to think automatically of that non-halachic source where it comes from, and they'll think of the words, and they'll think of where it comes from and what it is, and of course it will ruin their concentration. He brings a very, very long note here from Rabbi Avad Yosef and the Abi Omer about the stringencies here and many other poskim. Again, it's worth looking up the note here. It's note number 1 on page 53 if you're following along at home. But this question about what tunes can we use in davening, and that sometimes will happen. Let's say you're in a shul that you're not used to, and they start singing a tune, and you spend the whole time figuring out, how do I know that tune? Where's that from? And then you realize, oh yeah, that's a Disney tune, or something like that. It's from The Little Mermaid. Or it's just something I don't know, and then you totally have lost concentration because you're thinking about where that tune comes from. So there's a certain seder to things and a certain kavod that we have to show to our davening. So with that, please continue davening for Chaylei Tzfal Yisrael, for Shlomo Chol Petzui Yisrael, say for return of our hostages, and we learn Leili Nishmat, Saren Daniel Shimon, Rav Dron Vasheli Hashem Kum Damo. Please vote OIC-MIZRACHI, slate number 5. Look at the notes. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day. We'll see you here next time.